Aloha, y'all. It is Thursday, Thor's Day, ruled by Thor, if you want to put it that way. Um, the 28th, I believe. Correct. The 28th of January. It is my day in Mayan astrology. I am a red rhythmic serpent. Today is a red rhythmic serpent day. Today is red rhythmic serpent guided by life force, according to the dream spell. And it is a throat chakra day, Vishuddha chakra day. So if you haven't ever tried chakras, give them a whirl, do them all. But today specifically is about speaking your truth, listening well, right? Do the mantras. In this case, Ham, Ham, Ham. Do the mudras. I believe in this case is like so on your lap, fingers kind of interweaved. And like I said, it's a red rhythmic serpent day guided by life force. You're looking at a red rhythmic serpent. So today should have much of my own energy about it. Let's go ahead and talk a little about the astrology. The sun is in Aquarius, the moon is in Leo. It's going to be a full moon in Leo. Mercury is in Aquarius, Venus, and because Leo is opposing Aquarius on the zodiac, the full moon is opposing the sun and Mercury, as well as Jupiter and Saturn. But the sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn in Aquarius, moon in Leo, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Taurus, as well as Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, and the North Node is in Gemini. So we have a lot of the same energy, right? It's a lot of Aquarian energy, a lot of Capricorn energy. I just pushed a button and I have no clue what happened. Okay, great. All right, we'll have to open that up again. So, yeah, Aquarius, Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Moon in Leo, Taurus, I was going to say Uranus, and, oh God, I can't think. I just said it, but I got to look. Uranus and Mars are in Taurus, I knew that, and then Pluto as well as Venus are in Capricorn. Let's go ahead and see what the cards have for us today. Podcast should be great. We've got Colin Smith coming on. He's been on a few times. He's amazing. As well as Molly Wright. She's cool as fuck. She's been on once or twice, I think. Should be a good day for that. I'm actually even finishing up the last chapters of reading the entire, for the second time myself, first time out loud to Haley, Harry Potter saga. So that's rather interesting. Got a chapter or two left of that. Great story. Five of Cups. Wah, wah. All right, so there's no bad cards, but cups are about emotions, right? So if you're a Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Pisces, you're going to naturally resonate with the water of the cups, the emotions, the creativity, the depths of psychic nature as such. And Five of Cups is as follows. Saying, hope is not gone. Allowing yourself to grieve what is spilled, giving into the grief and working through it. Five of Cups, I am inconsolable. The Swiss-American psychiatrist Elisabeth Kubler-Ross was a pioneer in research on near-death experiences and the process of grief. She postulated the 5 stages of grief. Denial, this can't be happening. Anger, why me? It's not fair. Bargaining, if only I would. Depression, why go on? And acceptance, it's going to be okay. Towards the end of her own life, she said the stages were not always linear, predictable progressions. This opened the door for us to understand grief as a process which unfolds across time. Ultimately, the process travels across time, across different emotional topographies that must make the full journey in order to reach the land of acceptance and integration. That's alchemy, baby. In the Five of Cups, a distraught yet almost indistinguishable figure crouches by the river, watching as a hand desperately reaches out from the rushing torrent as it's swept away. Five of Cups, 5 stages, must be consumed in order to move on. It actually reminds me very much of the Half-Blood Prince, where in the cave, if you know, they have to consume a liquid that actually hurts quite a bit. Don't want to give too many spoilers away for people who haven't read or watched Harry Potter. So you gotta drink it. 5 cups, 5 stages of grief. They must be consumed in order to move on. 3 cups hold red inflammation. 1 stands empty with feelings of emptiness and meaninglessness, and the last cup holds hope, a return to the heart. For this card to have impact, one does not have to be dealing with something catastrophic. It points to the fact that we all carry tremendous grief, ancestral grief, family grief, cultural grief, grief of our loss of innocence. We all live out the 5 stages of grief in numerous ways. A dream job we have worked so hard for falls through. A relationship breaks up. Children leave home. No one passes through life untouched by grief and loss. So no one's impervious to this, don't think they are. Even when you're high vibe and everything works out for the best, it's like you still have valleys. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's this card. I will have hope, right? Kind of thing. Grief is part of the natural cycle of life. We can stop fighting against it and allow ourselves to feel what needs to be felt. Tarot offers us an opportunity to see ourselves through different eyes, to see what needs to be questioned, healed, and released. It offers us new vistas to move towards and explore. As with the Four of Cups, we have the capacity to create a new context or viewpoint through which we can explore our pain and discomfort. We could transform them into something wondrous. Byron Katie's system called The Work offers a way of questioning and releasing the painful stories we inhabit, stepping into the open freedom that is our true, radiant, and untarnished self. The Five of Cups took me to my own deep grief, the loss of loved ones, the failures, the hard times I put my family through with a relentless pursuit of creative dreams. The fast-flowing river in the card has more than one meaning or possibility. Of course we could be swept away by the river of tears, but we can also be cleansed by it too. We could put right what has been let go of. We can put right what we can and let go of our grief. Let it be taken back into the great ocean of life. For me, this card does not point to the arrival of some form of grief, for it has already arrived and we carry it in ourselves. It's the nature of a fallen world, right? Instead, it presents a question and a powerful possibility. It asks you to look at the grief you hold on to. What's the story you're telling yourself on? Why are you holding on to your grief? You don't have to climb mountains. Don't carry them, right? Why are you carrying the grief? It asks you to look at the grief you hold on to. It invites you to complete with it and let it go. Letting life, nature, take care of transmuting it back into vitas or energy. So the Five of Cups, hope is not gone, allowing yourself to grieve what is spilled, giving into the grief and working through it. For there being a full moon in Leo coming up, this is about release, y'all. Emotional release to stories that no longer serve us. Victimization. And guess what? Everyone's a victim of DNA, a victim of economics, a victim of galactic radiation, right? We are victimized in a sense, but it's a matter of the perception. Instead of saying, this is happening to me, wah, 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 which is a stage and acceptable, we don't want to stay here and wallow. We want to move through and say, wow, it's 5 stages of grief. I accept this. It's the final summit of grief. And acceptance is really kind of the icing on the cake. And I don't do it perfectly. I'm learning to do it myself. But that's what we're here called to do. We're here to accept things as they are and know, it's kind of like the Alcoholics Anonymous slogan. It's like, God, give me the grace to see what I can't change. Give me the grace to see what I can change. Or, let me see what I can change. Let me see what I can't change and the grace to know the difference, right? That's how we come to acceptance. But there's some things to let go of, whether they're dreams deferred, relationships that just won't work, political parties that are not what they cracked up to be, economic systems that are built on fiat currencies, and generational wealth hoarded by gold banks and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot to cry over, but there's also a lot to be hopeful for. So don't lose hope. Hope is not gone. That was the first statement of that card. So the clarifier we're getting is the crone, right? Interesting energy here. Very Aquarius. The Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn, and Venus in Capricorn. That's very much this energy. So we have number 6, the crone. Let me find it. Crone, where you at? All right, here we go. And if this is resonating with you, tag somebody who might benefit, share it, whatever's clever. The crone. Keywords: feminine power, fearlessness, authenticity, individuality, independence, new purpose, freedom, shadow self. Right? So very Aquarian. We're kind of popping into a rebellious mode. But in order to punctuate, we have to be tough cookies. Sometimes we have to let our guard down and grieve, but we don't want to stay there and be emotional like, basket cases. We want to take that grief and allow it to transform us into a stronger, more mature person, the crone. Key phrase is the woman who understands her true nature. And understand the true nature. This is what I was saying. It's true nature part of life to go through ups and downs. Don't try to deny that. Denial is a bitch like that. So it's like, yes, death is real, but we're looking at it weird. Yes, separation is real, but that's a perspective. It's like, it's real, but it's not true. There's a big difference. Ultimately, we're one. That's the truth. The true. The woman who understands her nature, being aware of your choices. Haley pulled the Two of Swords for herself today, so very resonant there. Be unafraid to walk your path alone. This is a full moon in Leo, right? Where we're being authentic. And with Aquarius, so much Aquarius energy, it's about authentic individuality. It's like, I might be Major Tom and be launched off into space by myself, but damn it, that's my mission, right? A life of your own design, and I look at Aquarius as the engineer of the zodiac. Untapped power and potential, a fertile and productive future, so there's hope. A childless state, be unbowed and unapologetic, very Venus in Capricorn. Respect and cherish your elders, once again, love your elders. Saturn is the elder. And rules Capricorn. A direct and forthright approach is what is needed. Do what's necessary, not what's expected. Right? And it is time to be fierce and fight back. Leo full moon, right? Where we're kind of kicking into this energy of like, I want to roar and release what grieves me. I'm going to shout into my pillow. I'm going to do a primal rage scream. I'm going to punch, the dummy or whatever. Don't punch a person, right? I'm going to let it out. I'm going to cathart. Is that even a word? I'm going to go through catharsis. And I'm going to release. And then it's like Lieutenant Dan. He's like, I fucking hate my shit. I had a destiny. I was supposed to be blah, blah, blah. He had all these expectations, storylines he was listening to, things that grieved him because he attached. And then he went into the water or the ocean or whatever, and he fought it out with God. He fucking screamed and cried his heart out. I'm inconsolable. No one was going to talk to Lieutenant Dan. He had to go deal with his own shit. And then he came back the next day, a little bit wiser and a little more centered and saying, it's all good. And that's what release allows. Meaning, the crone symbolizes a proud and mature woman, an aging woman who is no longer influenced by a need to reproduce or parental responsibilities. Very Aquarius. I'm independent. She may be approaching or have reached a stage in her life where her menstrual cycles have slowed or ceased, but she is no longer true to the crone archetype of old that is depicted of Western society. The nature of the crone has evolved with the times. She is a very North Node of Gemini. Things change, right? She is the wise woman who is like nature, wild, still, passionate, volatile, calm, peaceful, adaptable, flowing, creative, powerful, all the paradoxes of nature represented in her in its maturity. I've lost my place. She is everything she chooses to be. She is a woman who is aware of her choices and may well have transitioned from maiden to crone without feeling any need or desire to be a mother. The crone is unafraid of being alone or walking her path alone. Sun and Mercury, Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius. And with a Leo moon, it's like, I got to do what I got to do for me. Hopefully you're doing it in a way that's compassionate and inclusive of others to the degree that you're not damaging and causing more karma. North Node and Gemini is South Node and Sagittarius. Don't be a bitch about it. Don't be a dogmatic, warrior of selfishness. But self-interest is a real thing, and it's okay. Only you will feel your grief, right? This is a weird thing. Even empaths are going to be irked by this. No one will ever fully understand your grief. No one will fully understand you, ever. And you don't even fully understand yourself. That is ironically something worth grieving about. And we're in a magical mystery tour where we're cut off from ourselves in multiple dimensional ways, and it's like, I will never know all of it, and it's okay. We have to come to terms with that and accept it like the crone. She's unafraid of being alone or walking her path. After centuries of being made an outcast and no longer being seen as having a functional role within society because her childbearing days are over, the crone has learned to look after her own needs. She has, by necessity, become a strong and independent individual who has found new purpose. Her life is full, has meaning and direction, and it is the life of her own design. How Aquarian. The crone is comfortable in her own skin and free of artifice and pretense. She is mature, honest, aware, and wise. She is both understanding and compassionate, but speaks and acts with a directness that some may find intimidating. The crone can be quick to hug and offer support, but she can also be blunt and is unafraid to deliver a tough love message if she feels the need to do so. Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Leo. It's like, I love you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Got to keep it real, right? At times, this can give her an appearance of cruelty and ruthlessness, but while the crone is not a hard woman, she can be tough and unwilling to embrace other people's illusions. This is why some people will always be quick to vilify the crone. She could be depicted as cruel, hard, wicked, and selfish hag, and the very fact that she is both unrepentant and unwilling to be what society expects her to be may make her a target for those who are slaves to society's dictates, as well as those who impose society's dictates. South Node and Sagittarius. People who are like, this is the way it's done, this is the truth, thus says the Lord, that statute of laws says so, we're going to hold this tradition. It's like, that's going to fuck her up. But she doesn't care. North Node and Gemini. She's like, I'm playing around, guys. I'm doing my thing. I'm free. Why are you hating? Like that kind of energy, right? It's like, let you project some more, right? Because we're all grieving. We're all jealous. We're all so broken. And yet we're so loved and redeemable and open and holy. It's a crazy paradox, I know. This is why the crone is often portrayed as a woman who's past her prime, wrinkled and ugly. If she is made to believe that she is useless, she has been controlled. If the crone becomes aware of her potential and power, she is a force to be reckoned with. Venus and Capricorn, she says, I know my worth. I know what I'm working with here. Fuck y'all. But hopefully she's doing it in a true way, not like a selfish way, if that makes sense. There's a fine line here, I know. The crone symbolizes the emergence of a mature woman who sees herself as being in her prime with many fertile, productive, and creative years ahead of her. She's a woman who embraces her true power and potential. So with Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter in Aquarius, right, we have this independent streak. She's even got a streak in her hair. It's like, I'm out here in the woods doing my shit. If you don't like my magic, fuck y'all, right? I'm having fun. North Node and Gemini. I don't care what you want to burn me at the stake because that book says I'm evil. South Node and Sag. Fuck y'all. But there was probably a phase at which she had to learn how to detach through the stages of grief with like, why don't they like me? I guess I'm not having children. That kind of thing. It's a different kind of energy, right? So Five of Cups is saying there's things to grieve over. You can cry, but learn to be tough in the end. Like wring out the tears so you can be dry and firm again and supple with, emotionality. I'm not trying to just be like totally air sign about this, though it is Aquarius season. And like I said, today is a red rhythmic serpent day, guided by something, I forget, like life force or something, which is what I am. So I'm feeling these cards real hard today. It's like, life is a complicated trip and we're on it together. So let's make it happen. Equal value philosophy, Pleiadian, is the galactic card. It's a future timeline. 86 is the number. 86, Pleiades, equal value philosophy, future timeline. Humans have gotten used to polarity and inequality. Definitely something worth grieving. It's like, oh my God, the poor are dying and the rich are. I just saw an article saying like, Bezos and Zuckerberg and Musk have made trillions of dollars during this pandemic. On the one hand, good for them. On the other hand, that's tragic that the system is so flawed that we're all fucked. But we have to take a stiff upper lip and be independent and learn how to do these things ourselves. They're showing us models of how we can do our own thing and engineer our own lives. Aquarius, we can engineer this. North Node and Gemini, playfully. Moon and Leo, hopefully from a place of heart. But equal value philosophy is what I was kind of talking about. Humans have gotten used to polarity and inequality. Worth grieving. Cry over it, but move on. However, the Palladian philosophy of equal value sees all things as equal, such as gold and a stone. It almost reminds me of Indiana Jones with the bag of sand and that little, relic or whatever, the golden relic. He's like, now I haven't tripped the big rock that's going to come tumbling after me. They aren't equal in our eyes. We say that gold is so much more valuable than that bag, but it's like that bag has value too in the Palladian's eyes. Maybe it allowed him to, run away or whatever, however they look at it. When they exchange with others, they do so from a place of equality, and the exchange becomes one from the heart, Leo Moon, rather than for profit or gain. At worst case, Venus and Capricorn. This card asks you to examine your emotions about the fear of not having enough, the issue of fairness, the difference between wants and needs, and always wanting more. Because that's the suffering, the attachment to the wanting. Buddha's like, y'all are attached, and it's going to cause suffering. You're going to cry until you realize you are not, with maturity, you are not the things it's like Fight Club. You are not your car. You are not your fucking diploma. You are not your relationship status. You are not the, amount of friends you have. You are not the drugs you take, right? So, but hey, all's good. All's fair in love and war, and ultimately, it's all good, right? This card examines us to look at our emotions about fear of not having enough, issues of fairness, and the difference between wants, needs, and always wanting more. Like Kirby. We're just inhaling. We're just such desirous little creatures, aren't we? Which is beautiful in its own way, but also the ball and chain at the same time. Equality of all things is a universal principle, but we must first heal our fear of lack before we can fully embrace this principle. This card refers to an evolved time stream of the Palladian civilization. It is a time when polarity is exceptionally balanced. In a state such as this, there is no greed, no competition. Reminds me of Daft Punk, Beyond, one of the best songs they've got. Check it out if you haven't heard it. Off of Random Access Memories, Beyond is the song. It's like, there's no such thing as competition. To find a win, we lose control, right? Oh, remember, love's the only mission. It is the journey of the soul, right? We're journeying through attachments and letting go, and that whole process, and that puts us in a wise place. Those lyrics were a heart wisdom. Mental awokeness, Aquarius, Sun, Mercury, and heart open-heartedness, Moon and Leo, and the head and the heart are both necessary. They're talking about polarity is fully balanced. In such a state as this, there's no greed, competition, or consumer-driven structure. And as we're seeing with the whole kind of situation, I don't know if you're aware, but of the GameStop kind of situation. I'll put a meme about it in the comments maybe. But basically, like even the free market, it's kind of being like, oh shit, they know what the game's up. Consumer-driven structures aren't going to work as much. The concept of economics is totally different. Theirs is. It is based on universal principles of neutrality and equality. The only exchange is one of energy rather than the illusory money systems known on Earth. Beyond human structures that measure worth, there is a universal view that sees all beings in creation as equal. Black holes are as strong as suns, all that kind of stuff. If this card came up in your reading, it could have several meanings. It may mean that you have a connection to this Palladian future time stream and is calling for you to look at your current attitudes and beliefs about lack, self-worth, and the abilities to give and receive, right? All those disappointments. It's like, I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I wanted this and it didn't work out, right? We'll come to a place of maturity when we kind of learn that all the seasons are necessary. The leaves have to fall and they will come back in the spring. There might be a belief that you have, hidden or obvious, conscious or subconscious, that is keeping you from manifesting abundance in its many forms in your life. With the Sun in Aquarius and Mercury in Aquarius, we can get an over-eye view and know where our heart is attached, maybe in unhealthy ways, Leo Moon. And hopefully with North Node in Gemini, we go, I can play with this. I can have fun with this. It may be asking you to transform your understanding of what value really means. And trust me, ask me about that. I've got a North Node, Midheaven, Venus, and Lilith in Taurus, 10th house. So the old polarized concept of economics is no longer working. Notice how, we're going to start switching up. Get ready, y'all. This year's going to be ratchet. That's all I got to say about that. On the planet or in your personal life, mostly because Uranus is in Taurus and it's shocking our systems of value and our money and security. It can only be transformed through deep inner work. If you are absolutely certain this does not apply to you, then it could be that you are already embracing this concept of Palladian equal value, and this card is acknowledging it. Go within, connect with your higher self, and listen to the guidance about what this card means for you. And it's going to mean something different for everybody. That's why I'm always like, yo, hit me up for a reading. I can pull cards. I can read a chart. We can talk about how life means to you and discuss these things. It's a lot of fun. Do it. But everyone is going to have to go within and grieve at some point. And then when you come out on the other side, you're a little harder, but you're a little bit wiser. Right? It's that simple. So, equal value philosophy, though, from the Pleiadians is saying, you know what? Pain is as valuable as pleasure. Don't just go for the fun, don't just hit the easy button and the fun button and never do that work. That will be a very different karmic reality than and also don't just beat yourself up all the time and fucking say, oh my God, I'm so bad. I can't do anything right, and never love yourself. Love and hate yourself equally in that weird sense. I know that sounds weird, but it's like approve and disapprove of everything equally. Everything is both approvable and disapprovable in some sense. We can criticize everything and we can accept everything. Ultimately, we want to pop to like unity and say, oh yeah, we accept everything as having equal value, right? That's the place of wisdom, the crone. So let's get an animal oracle card. We got honeybee. And I've got a jug of honey. When I smoked pot a few weeks ago, that was what I munched out on. I had peanut butter and honey, and I felt like fucking Winnie the Pooh, all stoned, just eating so much honey. But let me tell you, the amount of honey I ate was not advisable. Too much sugar, and don't do that. So, the honeybee. 6, reciprocity. Equal value philosophy, reciprocity. I give, you take, right? And this is a story that has a lot of grief in it. So, there's a lot of, and he becomes wiser like a crone, right? We must give and take if we make a mistake, we must make amends. Equal value philosophy. Can't make this shit up. The magic pours, doesn't it? The earth revolves around reciprocity to remain balanced and grow, and as humans are part of the earth, so this applies to them as well. Learn to work happily with others. North Node in Gemini. It is important to learn to communicate effectively. North Node in Gemini, Sun, Mercury, and fucking Aquarius. As there may be breakdowns in communication. Aristeus was the son, this is the myth. Aristeus was the son of Cyrene, the huntress, and the god Apollo. It was said that Cyrene was not interested in the traditional womanly things, South Node Sag traditions. He's like, nah, that's good, I'll go be fun, and instead wanted to hunt in the forest and conquer cities. North Node Gemini. Let me do other things that are fun to me. When Aristeus was born, Apollo gave him to the god Hermes, which is even, North Node Gemini, Hermes is Mercury, for education. And what an education it was. The boy got to learn from all the great gods and goddesses he was related to, one of whom was Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. Demeter introduced Aristeus to the bee maidens, who taught him the art of working with bees. As he grew out of childhood and into young man, so childhood to crone, right? And here's a grief experience that causes him to understand, give and take equally, karma in a sense. As he was going from a kid to a young man, the bees rested in his beard. Such was the love and trust for them they had in him. Moon and Leo, they're like, we love you. We're going to cuddle up on you and be our full selves. As an adult, Aristeus accidentally caused the death of nymph Eurydice. In their rage and sorrow, her sisters killed every bee that Aristeus worked with. Their grief, 5 of Cups. They're like, oh my God, I'm inconsolable. Fuck this guy. Let's go equal value philosophy this and, eye for an eye this shit. Not a good look. He was devastated, 5 of Cups. He wanted to work with the bees again and also make amends to consult and make amends. Equal value philosophy, right? He wanted, I was like, how do I make this right? And Proteus, wise Proteus, he went to, who suggested he could honor Eurydice by making sacrifices of 4 bulls and 4 cows as the bodies lay upon the altar. 8 great swarms of bees took flight from them, and it is said all bees come from these 8 swarms. The animal. Bees are social insects, North Node of Gemini, and Sun and Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius, teams, right? So, bees are social and work in groups, and they're vital to the world's ecosystem and food production. It is estimated that over 70% of the top 100 food crops provide 90% of the world's food, and they are bee pollinated. No bees, no food for humans or animals. Equal value. It's like if you take one thing out, the whole system kind of crumbles and will grieve even harder. 5 of Cups. There are about 20,000 species of bees, but the one highlighted here is the western honeybee. In the wild, these bees usually create a hive out of a hollow log or tree, and there would be 10 to 20,000 bees in an average colony. The bees build comb from wax they secrete, so this is more engineering and group work, very Aquarian. The comb is used to, in science, here's some scientific word, the more you know kind of stuff. The comb is used to protect the bees in its chambers, and it's made from, their secretions, as chambers for eggs and bee larvae, but is also used as a communication medium. Gemini North Node. Bee colonies have one queen that lays all the eggs and determines what larva will be, and so the role they will play in the colony in the hive. Venus and Capricorn. And Aquarius energy, also the crone. She's like, I'm the old queen crone, and she's had a bunch of kids, but she's like in charge, right? A queenless colony may perish if they cannot replace their queen. Honey is produced by bees ingesting the nectar of plants or flowers and combining it with special enzymes. They regurgitate the substance into chambers in the honeycomb. This is sealed and transforms into honey, which feeds the colony in times of scarcity or bad weather. So they're prepared for equal value philosophy. Good times, bad times, we're ready for them all. I've had my share, as Zeppelin would say. Bees are one of the very small group of animals that demonstrate displacement in communication, which is super Aquarian energy. They are able to tell a story or communicate it happening outside of what is actually there. For example, a bee may see a good source of food and be able to communicate this back to the hive by a detailed dance to other bees that includes compass directions and the distance to the target. Aquarius Sun, I'll give you the directions. Moon and Leo, through a dance. I'll show you, through heartedness. As much as a bee can be hearted, I guess. The magic. How I love bee magic. And this is from Stacy DeMarco. She's been on the podcast. Check out the episode. It was good. She's an Aquarius. Shout out, Stacy. She'll come back on. As a beekeeper, I'm privileged to experience the magic of bees every day. From the way they literally turn sunshine into honey. That's alchemy. That's the magician card, right? That's very Aquarian. The way they dance and communicate, and the way they bring life into my garden. Life is the sun, heart, Leo moon. Call upon bee magic when you want to improve communication and connection. It is wonderful energy to use when you're attempting to find balance, equal value philosophy, and a proper level of give and take in a relationship or work situation. Bee magic can also be used to stimulate your garden and your creativity. Symbology is a bee dance, hive, a man with bees in his beard, bee maidens, honeycomb. Status is honeybees are endangered. Please become a beekeeper or plant bee-friendly plants and do not use systemic pesticides. Y'all, their life is in our hands, and we're going to be in a whole lot more of a grievous situation if we don't wisen up like the crone and learn how to treat our bee friends well, right? Through reciprocity. We need them, they need us. It's that simple. So let's get an art oracle card. Hopefully you all are enjoying this, this transmission. I kind of look at, I have Mercury and Mars conjunct in 12th house Cancer, so I tend to look at anything I do as kind of channeling. I know that's like, sounds terrible, but whatevs. Pablo Picasso, my ninja. I was in Barcelona and got to see his favorite bar, the Three Cats, I believe it's called, as well as his museum. Pablo Picasso is awesome. But guess what, folks? He ate a lot of hash, and maybe more. He was a hash eater. Mr. 20th century art himself, Pablo Picasso had his blue and rose periods in turn of the century Paris, then changed modern art forever by popularizing cubism through geometric crystallized deconstructed paintings of friends, lovers, prostitutes, and the calamities of war. How Aquarius. It's like I see all this stuff in a very weird way. I'm going to show you guys everything, and this is my heart. I'm going to Leo moon, be loud about it. With Gertrude Stein's support, so we got North Node of Gemini, Aquarius energy once again, Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. With Aquarius as teams, right? And Gertrude Stein's like, I'll support you financially so you can play North Node and Gemini. So with Gertrude Stein's support, he also experimented with neoclassicism, surrealism, and sculpture. He did a lot of kinds of art. Not a one man, he's a genius, Aquarius energy. Picasso's many styles and superhuman prolificness stemmed from his belief that he'd only live as long as he worked, Venus in Capricorn. This belief must have had a clause about frequent adultery, Moon in Leo, as evidenced by Picasso's many tragic affairs, and they were worth grieving. Five of Cups, they caused a lot of pain. Today, Picasso is shorthand for what you'll see in a modern art museum's permanent collection. They're like, do you have a Picasso? Are you guys legit? If nothing else, be prolific is Picasso's advice, right? So, cry big, grieve big. It'll lead to greater gratitude. The deeper the cut, the better, the bigger the scar. The wisdom that comes from these things has equal value. If it hurts that much, if the mountains are this tall, the valleys have to be that low, right? So, if you just have like a salt flat plain, it's like not a very active reality. It's like, I don't have very many passions and I don't have very many sadnesses. Maybe that's what you want. Cool. And that's equal in a, level way, but also at the same time, if, you're going to have highs and lows, equal value. There's going to be reciprocity with you between those and the experiences. Like, you're going to learn from the experience, and the world and the Akash is uploading data from you and your experience of it. So it's a give and take, just like everything. If nothing else, be prolific. Go big or go home. That's Aquarius, Sun, Leo, Moon, full moon. It's like, I'm going all the way. People are going to sing songs about me and how I built a horse and all my army fit in it, and we went into a city and sacked the city called the Trojan Horse. That's crazy. People remember that shit, right? That kind of energy. It's like, go big or go home. If you're going to do something, be prolific. Don't half-ass it. If you're going to cry, let it all out. You don't want to hold resentments. They'll mold, right? If you're going to accept things, accept fully. Don't kind of accept and just be like, well, I accept it, but no, I don't really accept it. It's like, don't do that. We got Amazonite. What it is, and you can quantumly entangle with this if you don't have it physically. This is actually native to where I live right now, up in the high country of Colorado. Amazonite is a brilliant blue-green mineral named after South America's famed river. The best Amazonite comes from Colorado. Who needs it? Teeth grinders. Anyone struggling with Mercury retrogrades? We are in the shadow period, so we're all struggling, not fully yet, but getting there. Where to put it? Place Amazonite below the throat. Today is a throat chakra day, right? So even resonant there, and it's blue like the throat chakra. Relax your jaw and ask for the courage to speak your truth. That's the crone. She's speaking her truth, and it might cause some pain and it might hurt some people, but she's going big. She's being prolific. She's like, I'm going to speak my truth, whether it hurts you or not. Now, we want to be couth and cool and chilled, North Node and Gemini. We want to be playful and not, make enemies, basically. But at the same time, you've got to, don't just, you want to speak your truth, especially on a throat chakra day. When to use it? When your inner child wants to real talk with you. Ask yourself what little you really want from life. Ask yourself what your little you really wants from life. Does it sound like what current you would want if you could just let yourself want it? That's some Aquarius energy, right? Where it's like time travel self. It's like, talk to your future self. Perfect. Now say it aloud for the whole universe to hear and go make it happen. Throat chakra. Make it so. Go big or go home. Make it prolific. Speak from your heart. Right? We have Aquarius, Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn. So it's about getting the download and then speaking from your heart. Full moon in Leo. And I'm not sure, I haven't looked when the full moon it is, like if it's today or tomorrow or, when. But it's in Leo, and we're in Leo moon now. So it's within the next 36 hours for sure. So I'm going to jam now, and let's have some fun. I'm going to hopefully entertain you, Leo moon, but I'm also hopefully going to learn something while I do it. Aquarius, Sun, and Mercury. Whoa, I can't. There we go. Oh my gosh. All right, there we go. All right, so we've got, for the cards, we've got to just set this up all right. But of course it doesn't want to work. All right, cool. For the cards, we have Five of Cups, so grief, and the Crone. And grief can make you hard. Grief can hold on, I didn't plug things up. Grief can really fuck you up if you let it. You can be a victim. We're all victims, so don't, I don't want to over glorify this, but at the same time, with a Leo moon, we're probably releasing what our hearts have wanted in a toxic way. Let's be real. What our egos have wanted, maybe not our hearts. With Aquarius Sun, it's like what we thought we wanted. Mentally, let's grieve it and be like, man, I thought I wanted to I thought I wanted to live in Bermuda, but I'm stuck in Alaska, or whatever. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it won't happen while you're focused on what you don't have. And it's kind of a paradox. That's what ambition's based off of, like, oh, I want that, but there's like, let it come to you. I mean, I'm a generator. Let it come to you. Don't fight for it. So, we've got 5 of Cups. Let's play some bluesy stuff, right? Maybe a little more sad, but something that's sad but not totally depressing. of Cups, it's something worth crying about. You know, we got to let some of that static go. If we hold it up, we'll just become resentful, angry, bitter, the bad side of the crone, right? The crone is partly the crone because the opponent is partly the crone, the clarifier card, because she has grieved that she's not going to be accepted by others, that she has grieved and accepted that she's not going to have kids, or whatever, right? The crone is a place of maturity after the storm, right? Lieutenant Dan freaks out, and then he gets to a place where he's like, I accept my leglessness, and then I won't die in battle, right? And then that's when he's freed from the grief in order to live life in a balanced way, equal value philosophy. And he's not a victim anymore. He comes to a place of understanding his role, his place in the Tao. And sometimes you give, sometimes you take. Reciprocity. You can't just always take. You can't just always give. But be prolific, right? It says, if nothing else, be prolific. If you're going to cry, be like Alice in Wonderland, shedding shit tons of tears, right? And swimming in them and drowning in them. If you're going to shout, scream like Braveheart, freedom, or whatever, right? Go big or go home. That will ultimately lead to wisdom in a weird way, which hopefully other people are doing too, equal value philosophy. And if we're wise, they'll be wise. We all get wise together. Huzzah, let's drink reciprocally, right? From the cup of wisdom. Go big or go home, right? If nothing else, be prolific, Pablo Picasso. But ultimately, speak from your heart. Throat chakra day, red rhythmic serpent day. Like, get into your vibes, come into your throat, and then from the Leo full moon coming up, shout it from the top of your lungs in a wise way. Aquarius, Sun, and Mercury. Like, don't, shout in a way that uses harmonic tones of the solfeggio frequency. Or, be woke about it. But know that there's processes to go through and you can't avoid it. Avoidance is actually what causes more suffering because it's denial and you're just not dealing with the stuff as necessary. So hopefully that makes sense, y'all. If you like this, like it, share it, tag people you think would benefit from it, like I said. Check out the podcast. It's been great. We had an amazing podcast yesterday with Lauren Emily, but she goes by Lazuli on Facebook. She's Lauren Emily. She's cool. We've been friends for a long time on Facebook. First time ever really talking to her. Great conversation. Today we have Colin Smith, a recurrent guest. He's great, part of Lifting the Veil. And Molly Wright. She's an animator, a cult animator who has her own tarot deck. Very cool chica. Very sassy chick. And Colin is a cool dude himself. So that should be great. Check out the podcast, the archives. I'll post in the links. Check them all out. They're all valuable. And hit me up for readings if you want. 5-star value. Super low bottom shelf prices. No one complains. That's why it's 5 stars. Hey. So, holler for readings. Check out the podcast and enjoy your beautiful Thursday. Try to let it all out. Let it all out and see what happens. And you will come to a place of acceptance. That's what peace is. Acceptance. Peace isn't joy, though joy can be part of, joy is not a bad thing. But joy and sorrow are the extremes. Peace is the ability to accept both and not favor one or the other and just be with it where you are, right? That's as simple as it is. What up, Amani? Sorrel. So, have a beautiful day. Check out the podcast, holler for readings, and enjoy the fucking ride. Bye.